Hello, hello. This is Mosaic Mind podcast and I'm your host, May Holland. Welcome. What does it mean to truly travel? Not just to move across land, but to journey into culture, into community, into the unfamiliar, slowly, intentionally, and with open eyes. This week on Mosaic Mind, I'm joined by Dorothée Perrault-Le Hunsec, radiant, adventurous, and values-driven entrepreneur from France, who has spent more than 10 years living and working in Vietnam. Her story begins in Brittany, in French is Bretagne, continues through Erasmus adventures in Budapest and London, a 3-month backpacking trip through South America, and ultimately lands her in Vietnam. First for an internship in 2005, then for a life built around purpose. So Dorothée is the founder of a unique travel agency called Chôm Chôm Travel. So if you speak Vietnamese, you will understand Chôm Chôm, and then she will explain to you what it means. That focuses on deeply personalized, sustainable journey. So you can see we know each other already. So her trips are intentionally designed, not for luxury in the traditional sense, but for the luxury of time, cultural connections, and human learning. She avoids big resorts, and I think we're on the same page on that one. Tourist cliché, instead collaborating with ethnic guides, local chefs, and hidden communities to create travel experiences that are intimate, ethical, and rich in meaning. Dorothée brings her own family into the fold, literally, by involving them in the trips she curates, showing that travel can be a shared path of growth. With a background in agriculture and culture, and a deep respect for Vietnam's ethnic diversity, she's currently working on a travel journal and guidebook that honors these communities. So in this episode, we dive into her life stories, her business, and her values, and how travel can be a powerful form of cultural activism. Welcome, Dorothée. Welcome. We're in the same country for once, Vietnam. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for this great introduction. You give me very emotional, actually.
Well, that's what this man, so I must have done a good job. Awesome. I'm so happy. We met a few times already in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and I really love what you're doing. And I really wanted, to really share your stories, to the people who are listening to us today, because I think it's important to think travel differently. So in terms of your journey and identity, can you tell us a little bit more about your journey to Vietnam, like the last one?
It's funny. Every people that stay in Vietnam always say, I'll stay for 2 or 3 years. And then we say, yes, let's meet in 10 or 13 years. So yeah, I first moved with my husband in 2014, end of 2014. I gave birth of my first child. At the time, I took a 1-year break. I don't know if pregnancy is a break, but I gave birth and I start again to work in the food industry for 4 or 5 years. First, again, I have 3 kids that are born and raised in Vietnam. As some people, not many people, but a few people during COVID time, I stepped back. I used to travel overseas a lot, which I love traveling, but I lost a bit the meaningful of traveling itself. And by having this break, the third baby, I was like, if I did something more local, if I just achieve one of my dreams, that was writing a travel journal. My dream was being a Lonely Planet writer. We just featured this year, so it's part of my dream. But yeah, I had this idea of how family can immerse themselves in Vietnam without going to the mass tourism, which is the easy one, because we always care about how safe could be a country that we don't know, or going to luxury, like what it called luxury is not my luxury, like going to the big 5-star resort. So, one evening night with your best friend and they are telling you should open a travel agency because you know Vietnam much more than anyone else, even Vietnamese or expat that have been here.
So you've been here for 10 years. Your 3 children are born in Vietnam. Today, what does Vietnam mean to you now? Like really today, what does it mean to you now?
I always have my heart is from Brittany, but I think my home now is very much in Vietnam. I'm going for summer into, let's say, what I call sometimes home or France. But then I already start to feel that I will miss Vietnam, which is since 2, 3 years a very weird feeling. So yeah, it's 10 years. I travel a lot in Vietnam. Really feel like it's a place where my family is also.
So where your family is. It sounds exactly, how I understand it. So you travel a lot, but you just don't travel to relax, as you mentioned before, by going to the resort and mass tourism, the cliche tourist places. And I think I'm on the same page with you. I totally get it. Love to go, where you don't have people, but when you have really meanings and connections with the land and people as well. So you have traveled around Vietnam more than many, many Vietnamese. What three things stand out for you? What can they be?
The encounter, for sure.
Yeah.
All that show the diversity of the country, and that's why I never get bored of traveling, because I always met amazing people. There's amazing culture, diversity on language, on outfit, and food, sorry. Landscape, we have like, let's say, unique place in Vietnam when you're like, I've seen hundreds of rice field terraces, but they're all different. If you take the time, if you are with another person, another ethnic, then it's very diverse. So the landscape here are amazing. From a fisherman village, from a coffee field, from temples. Even if you are not keen on visiting 100 temples, but they are beautiful. But yeah, the encounter, the landscape, and the atmosphere.
Mm.
The atmosphere, the motorbikes that you have like million in Saigon, or you just have a few in remote area where all the family is on it. Like, yeah, the vibe, I will say. Yeah, encounter, landscape, and vibe.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because when I hear you saying talking about you using the pronoun, "Oh, we do this in Vietnam," and I really like yourself, including yourself. You Vietnamese exactly, and I can feel it. I can really feel it. So we talked many times before into the personal travel. So can you tell us a bit more? What is a personal travel? When you're talking to the people. So what does it mean in your work? And how do you avoid those? What can be the reason why you're avoiding results and mass market tools? What does it mean to look into sustainability, look into authentic cultures and the minority that we have in Vietnam? Can you tell us a bit more? What's the landscape culturally, for this? What does it mean to have personalized travel?
I personally found a bit boring when you go on a trip, and let's say trip mindset, because you can go on holidays, which I also, like anyone else, love being a 2 days on a beach and relaxing. But when you go on a trip, when your mindset is on a trip, I think that if you have the luck, because it's not easy not talking the language, to meet amazing people that thinks they have a normal life, for, let's say, for a foreigner like I am, see that the richness, the power, the interesting part that they have and they don't know, and level up that and tell them like, yeah, actually what you're doing is amazing, and work with them and develop their own economy. That's a dream job for me. Like, and finding this gem every province in Vietnam it's amazing. It's like going to a mission and you come back to the office and say, we found another gem. This is exactly how we have the target. I have the target, and I share this passion to my work team also, because I
Yeah.
think luxury is everywhere the same. Where if you deep into local people, it's very diverse, and this is luxury for us.
Yeah, that is interesting because I remember when we were chatting a few months ago, your strong values coming from the influence of your father, who was traveling a lot as well, as I recall. You travel a lot you talk a lot about your values, which are freedom, autonomy, diversity. So how do those values that you mentioned with me before, how do you share that, with the people that you're working with, on a daily basis or with the guide? Can you tell us a bit more about that as well? How do those values, how do people understand your values as well, so they can really
Okay.
into, your vision?
So just to recall that in Vietnam, there are 54 ethnies. and the main one is the kin. We work with about 20 ethnies. When I say we work, we have local guides that speak their own language, share their culture, and live with the most traditional way. But also some part live also with modernity. Don't get me wrong. Still, and that's why I want not to modernize, but in a losing the culture. Modernization could be great, but also capable of losing your tradition. So how we realize that actually traveling to a place, respect their value is by working with them. It's not bringing someone that actually is not part of the community and show things to the travelers. So by working with them, there is one important thing is respect. So we adapt to every ethnic we are working with more than they adapt to the travel agency. It means I always say we are like a triangle. There is Chôm Chôm, there is the partner, and there is the traveler. So also we have education is a big word, but let's say we have a lot of information given to our travelers that they also need to adapt. Of course, we share info about travelers to our partner, who they are, what they want, how they feel. Some people are very adventurous, some people want, but are a bit scared. So we have to adapt, we bespoke. But back to your question is the value of respect, the value of understanding diversity, difference. We are all different. Let's strengthen the difference rather than mask the tourism. When you say I was used to travel back to my childhood, what the funniest part, and I think the click, was that in any country at that time, I'm not that old by a bit, we didn't speak that much English, or we didn't speak the same language. It didn't mean that we didn't communicate. So it's also the same for getting into the ethnic and local minority. It's not because you don't speak the same language that you can't have experience. You have to change your perception. So any ethnic is vibe, as I say. That's, when I was saying what I love about traveling and discovering. So you just like open your eyes again and say how they live differently. Respect that. Work with them. Understand. Some people is a bad word, but taking their time and enjoying differently. I will say that if you have been in Saigon, it's 300% active and people work fast and they are fast. If you go to Kontum in the Bana community where the rivers go, you understand the environment. So understanding respect is our key value.
I love that. So I love traveling with my husband, same as you. We don't do the resorts. We've been traveling around the world a lot, but in Vietnam. So for my profile, we are very active, pretty much adventurous. We like to discover things which are meaningful. We want to connect with local people. We don't mind eating from the street, but I want something really, really real, not for Instagram. Okay. So I don't want just to go in places where you have a little heart and it becomes a place to stop for Instagram. Where do you think I should go? Where do you think that we should go and explore and stay, I don't know, 10 days? An active 10 days, where would you recommend us to go with you?
We have just now we have been working for 5 years. So we have let's say, better structure and organization. So it's funny you are asking. We are creating, even if we bespoke everything, we're creating adventure package or experience and trying also to connect with travelers saying, you may know some names, but we are offering experience. So it's funny you just asking this question. There are very two places that got me. Anytime I go, I felt in two different ways. Central Highland, that is very much underrated. Bunmatod, Pleiku, Kontum. I felt very emotional there. They have such a different spirit by the music. They play gongs and it's related to the soul. So it's very spiritual. Yeah, that's the word I think. So it's very emotional each time. It's unfortunately a very, very poor area, dry. So very hard. They don't have a lot of agriculture there. So we try every time to enhance people to discover what you will never expect it would be Vietnam. So that's for the adventure, the hut, the river where they are still washing their clothes or having shower on the river. this is also a part of Vietnam. That's really touched me in terms of adventure and stuff. So that's one part. And I have to say that any trekking, and I've done a lot in north, really north part, like Cao Bang, Hoang Su Phi, Vie Xuyen, a part of Asiang.
I love cowbell.
Yeah, the fact to also trek and stay in different house every night, and now we do culinary experience where we brought the chef that you mentioned. So you can spend one day just sharing time, picking leaves. So the experience they are very adventure, and the people are so diverse by the ethnic also. In Central Highlands, they gave up a bit the outfit, you have to know, but they kept the language and of course the tradition. In the Northern, they kept outfit, tradition, language. So it's very immersive. You're in a Vietnam within being in a Vietnam. So it's like all these days make me feel like you're traveling in different area from one day to another one. And you heard amazing story about nature, jungle. Yeah. So yeah, that's the two place, honestly.
Okay. All right. I think we will talk later.
We'll tell you
But yeah, no, we're very much into, trekking in rainforest and also, in Australia, in the bush, outback, in the
yeah.
desert. So it's really, bring you on everything. And I really like that fact of, you value things that you don't even value when you have it, such as water, for instance. So that's beautiful that you mentioned that. So your travel agency is called Chôm Chôm. Can you tell us more about, what is behind the name?
To have Vietnamese sound because it has always been our target is to go deeper to Vietnam. So in many provinces, rather than going abroad or at the border, let's say Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. Other people do it, and that's fine with me. And I think to know, as we know, Vietnam, you need time and immersion. So I wanted a Vietnamese sound with travel because I think travel everyone understands. So I discussed with a friend that is actually specialized in what we call naming. Her name is Charlotte. And she told me, you need something that everyone can pronounce because, Vietnamese it's hard to pronounce. And we discussed and we said, what is the gift that usually Vietnamese brought back when they come from holidays or trip? Is fruits or food. So we were like, what can be? She got the chum chum, and I was like, this is easy to say, but there is another meaning behind because as a foreigner, when you see the first time a chum chum, it looks that it can stink you. So I was like, oh, that's a good meaning because actually it's like, as you say, we target families at the beginning. Now we are sustainable adventure and everything. But I was like, oh, that's like traveling with kids. You think it's hard. Like it's not doable. But once you open it, it's super stuff. So one chum chum, organize your trip. It's actually great adventure. So there was a lot of meaning behind the name, and I like the double chom chom because when we inspect at the time I had two kids, and I taste many overseas friends, Korean, English, French, I don't know, Japan, and everyone can say we understand. Having a Vietnamese name on my travel agency also make Vietnamese local super proud and happy. So it's all in a way, it's keeping the culture or the immersion of being in Vietnam. So it's very a Vietnamese trip that we want to offer. And Chum Chum are good.
I love it. I love it. It's so easy to remember as well. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, people call us Chum Chum now. They skip the travel. Or people say, oh, it's very Chum Chum this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a new fashion word.
Yeah, like community. We also try to create a community with quality.
Tell us more about, that community that you are building and want to build or strengthening it. How is it?
So we were very much known for the family adventure. And let's say that was our first community. And then I had people knock the door and say, I don't have kids, but I love what you do. So we create the community for adventure and people who love encounters. So that's actually now it's 40% of our travelers, young retirees or young workers, like on the 30s, they really want something different and maybe have
young retiree.
Young retirees are amazing adventure. They don't want to go in a group and they want to trek and they want to feel having a unique trip. So yeah, they come with friends or they come the two of them. We do also special even like wedding anniversary or birthday. We still very much, when I say family, it's really a sense of caring also. So our community, they know we're very much on caring. So people will ask, my parents come and visit me. Can you take care of them? So our communities, they know that we love. At the end of the day, what we want is people have a great time in Vietnam and don't mention Vietnamese people are like that or Vietnamese like that or I've done Vietnam in 12 days. That's even we don't do a country. It's built by itself. So the community is discovering people. We try to inspire by having also collaboration with chefs. We have, let's say, more overseas, of course, travelers than local, but the interest starts after 5 years to arrive. We on getting back to the roots. The new community we are also targeting is the young American Vietnamese or French Vietnamese that grew up in a Western country and want to elevate their motherhood country with the food, for instance, or drinks like cafe or tea and that business there. So I feel very proud to show a country where I'm living to a person that has been raised by the culture. And when we met, it's something unique. We have cells that, but in a different place because they grew up, let's say, in Europe or in America. But I know more sometimes about their motherhood country, especially for traveling, of course. So the sharing is great. And I think that share also the community, I will say, it's international first and French, as you say. I never wanted to talk or do any brochure, website, communication only in French because I think traveling, it's part of the encounter. So the language should be, let's say, the most international. We have we have Japanese people traveling with us that are adventure that found us on social media or by word of mouth. So it's very diverse. Indian families, three generations, grandparents, parents, kids, every travelers that understand our vision, wherever they are from, they will they will jump into it. Recently, we have people traveler from Lebanon living in Egypt. So it's international as well. It's just the sharing of traveling.
That sounds really awesome. That sounds chom chom. And I just want to come back to what we mentioned before. So we were talking about your values, freedom, that sense of autonomy and respect, and that diversity with the local 54 minority ethnies that we have in Vietnam. But I really want to come back to that sense of luxury that you talk about. So you often say that luxury is mastering time. Can you tell us more about, what it means for you today? What is luxury is mastering time for you? What does it mean for you?
You heard about the slow travel?
No.
Okay. Everything we're doing, we never knew we were doing it, like sustainability or slow travel. Just it came, let's say, as a good sense naturally. So I remember I found a
Sorry, you
place.
say slow travel.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Slow.
Yeah.
So the luxury of a place, just having a place when you are a mom of three young kids, it's luxury. The fact that they don't annoy anyone else, it's a luxury. And that they can, in a homestay, eat on the floor and sleep on the floor, it's luxury for them. The luxury as a mom is to make understand your kids that they are living their best time of their life in any places. And it's not because there are five pools in the resort. So those places that have nature reconnection, this is the new luxury. We all live with a phone on our hand in too many times per day, myself also. Get to a place where there is no connection. This is luxury. If you go to the famous cave in Phong Nha, this is also one of the great places in Vietnam. There is no network. People love it. People say that's even better. If you have teenager now and you're saying you can live 3 days without connection and reconnect with your teenager. My kids are still young. not to be on a phone. Anything you do. A night train. We did Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi by train, 2 nights, 1 day. It's luxury. It's not luxury because the bed is not the 5 stars bed that you will have, but you're sharing such an unforgettable time with your beloved one. So it can be, and we also do solo travel. So it can be also for the solo traveler, it can be like a time for themselves or couples or family reunion. This is luxury, the space, the area, and the memories. Sometimes I say we don't save life, but we improve them by creating memories. You
I'm
always
so with you on
remember the
this.
quality time you spend.
Yeah, yeah. And this is really the core of what we do here is to value memories and co-creating it with the people that you love. And you're so right when you were talking about Phong Ya. My husband and myself, we had our 20th wedding anniversary in Songdong. So
Oh,
you know,
wow.
we were very
Love it.
dirty and smelly, believe me. But that was the most amazing, amazing trip because the depth of the connection, of course, it was very deep as well, but the depth of connections, with the other people who are going through, we still talk about it, and this is, as you said, it's not a 5-star hotel, you're sleeping quite rough there, but you remember, and absolutely, this is, as you say, when you are creating those memories, you are creating meaning and you're creating luxury. And this is what you remember. You don't remember the number of stars of the resort.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely really, really like what you're doing. And which leads me to the next question about your vision for Vietnam. It's a big country. Population is 100 million people,
Yeah.
and more tourists are coming to Vietnam here for whatever reason, maybe for the good food or maybe because the price are still very cheap. And that can bring some problems, to Vietnam in terms of sustainability as well. But as Vietnam continues to grow, what would you like to see happening, now that you've been working in tourism and community? What do you want to see happening, considering that things are moving fast in Vietnam, the economy is moving super, super fast? What do you really want to see happening?
First, it's great to see that Vietnam is appeal in terms of tourism. Last year, it was apparently 17 million travelers in the country. Of course, million can be exciting, but as you say, in terms of quality, you have to get the balance and you like having a unique trip. It's great for the economy to have the numbers of travelers, of course. Also, what I will say, it's keep the balance to to keep the unique part of your trip by being in Vietnam. Um, stay finding places where the culture is so strong and not to step on the culture to please the travelers. That's very important. I feel Vietnam wants to have more diversity. I always say, if you look back the video of safety in Vietnam Airlines 10 years ago and today, before it was very much on offers on 5 stars hotel on the beach. Now it's more showing the ethnic, the diversity, the mountain. So I really hope the improving, for instance, transportation, safety, road, putting more highway in a sense is great. And in a sense, we have to be careful of bringing a lot of people where actually the structure is not yet done and keep the tradition and the culture rather than having big building. So it's very challenging. Preservation. Now there are 4 UNESCO parks in Vietnam. And Phong Nha is a great example. In 10 years, Phong Nha hasn't moved, hasn't changed. And it's great. I love it because it's preserved. So preservation is very important to keep the beauty of the country. And when you say also it's cheap, yes and no. It's also, and I'm honest, people can tell me you're expensive. Yes, but honestly, the value of working with remote area, the inspection, the fact that we pay more our guys because they work in small group, this is something also we need to level up to change the vision that a country is cheap. And behind that, they have if you want to keep it unique, then you can't get too mass to get the revenue. That's why our tours are more expensive because we don't repeat, repeat, repeat. We just create and make it unique. The cave in Tonga, only 10 people go per day. That's why it's so expensive. But at least that preserved. So that mindset may also need to change to get more sustainable. And one thing that I truly believe is experience travel brings traveler back. So for instance, in Vietnam, it's still very low, maybe less than 5% compared to 50% in Thailand. Bali, I heard Malaysia is 25 or 30% returning travel. I'm not saying lucky, but we work on that very hard, that travelers return. And we have 20%. And that's a very sustainable way of traveling because it's also bring, sorry for my accent, to the slow travel. Like people come back because they haven't seen and experienced everything. And we gave them like, don't do the country in only one traveling. So that's the spirit also of how I think tourism should be in Vietnam. It's a big country. You don't visit France and Australia in one time. Same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those people who are into that kind of experience, traveling, and for those who don't really, not into that space of that mindset yet, what advice would you like to give them? Because maybe they're considering, as they're listening to your podcast today, maybe they want to travel consciously and respectfully. What advice would you like to give to those people who are, think they know, but they haven't done the step yet? What would you tell them?
There is one slogan we had is like, don't be afraid. You won't miss anything. So they are the name, they are the place, but the experience will bring you other memories. So don't be afraid. You won't miss anything. Any places as interest if we have tasted and approved and inspect and check and met the guide and another. So that's the advice. Of course, I know that people still want to see some places that are very known, like Halong Bay, for instance. But maybe what they have done also in Thailand was quite good, like certain numbers of people per day on a beach. I forgot the place. And then the nature came back, the fish, and not giving the right to swim because of sun. So that's very good, like limited. Not that I don't want like the tourism numbers drop, but maybe quality time. It's always a good advice.
Yeah, quality versus quantity and the
Yeah.
mass tourism. Yeah, we want to be seen Vietnam.
Keep the beauty of the country.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be destroyed.
So yes, I think we're on the same page on this one. Trekking, go to Fancy Pan, trek up the north. No need to take cable car. Yeah. And the last question, but that's the one that we always close. That's the one that I always ask, to all our guests. So this is really our Mosaic Mind signature question. So you know that the podcast is called Mosaic Mind. So what is the glue that holds your mosaic mind together? What keeps you centered? What connects all those pieces of your life, work, passion, vision, dreams? What is the glue that holds all those pieces everywhere so that it really makes sense for you?
I will say, I don't forget why I created this travel agency. It was spending time with my family, my kids and my husband. And the pleasure I have by working and discovering places with them, I have no more joy. It's the best when you come back and your kids say it was the best trip we have done. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Chom Chom. Yeah, that will be my mosaic. You have your work days, and then when you travel, everything connect, align, and say your mosaic, as you say. So yeah, that is my motivation.
So it's so beautiful. You talk about, you're free children born in Vietnam. You talk about, that sense of sharing and bringing meanings to the life experience that you're having with your family. Then you extend it, to Chôm Chôm travel experience, with the other people, so then they can understand what you really mean for your vision for sustainable tourism. in Vietnam. On this note, I want to say thank you, Dorothée, for joining us today. For the people who are listening to this podcast today, I hope you have traveled in Vietnam in your mind and really see and really feel the experience, on a different way. So don't do Vietnam in one hit, and you don't do a country in 10 days, as you said. So let's keep in touch. And for the people who wants to listen to other stories like this as well, stories which motivate, inspire you to think differently and do differently, do subscribe to our channel. So as you can see, we're on Spotify, on YouTube and Apple Podcasts as well. Follow us. You will have more stories as well. And Dorothée, thank you very much for today. Let me check on my schedule now, where can I go with you next time?
I'm happy that you have the positive willing to travel with Chôm Chôm now. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dorothée. Bye.
Bye. Have a lovely day. Bye bye. Thank you again.